Wow. You are in luck today. Today is episode 52 of Winning the Moment. We've made it a year. It is also my 37th birthday, and I have the most incredible, beautiful, sexy guest you've ever seen. She is my wife, Meagan Adent, and she gets vulnerable and shares her story, and honestly, it is so incredible. Stay tuned to the end. I know you're going to love it. You'll probably want her to start her own podcast. It'll be better than mine because she's so amazing. But please like and subscribe, and most importantly, enjoy the episode. Wherever you are and however you are listening, thank you so much for being back with us on another episode of Winning the Moment. Today is unbelievably special in so many ways. If you're watching this, you can see we got some champagne on the table. This is episode 52 of Winning the Moment, which marks our 1 year mark. It is also my 37th birthday. And then on top of that, I've got the most special guest I've ever had, my beautiful wife, Meagan.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We've got this awesome bottle of champagne. This was a gift from my sisters. Meagan and I recently acquired our company together, and they got us this as a celebration on 12/12/23. And so we're going to pop this to celebrate our 52nd episode, which is pretty crazy. It's cool that Meagan's here because, you know, obviously if you listen to the show, you hear me every week. And if you watch the show, you see me every week. But this wouldn't be possible without a team.
True.
You know what I mean? Like it takes two. And Meagan and I are so lucky that we don't just live together, if you can imagine that, but we also get to work together. And I just think it's so special to be able to spend that time with your spouse. And we've got another podcast we've been doing for about the same time for our business, Vibrant Management, called Vibrant, or the Virtual GM.
Hold up. Sorry to interrupt, Cody. I want to come capture this on film. Let's keep rolling.
Okay.
I'm gonna come in there.
Twist. This is a twist off champagne. So, Hannah and Sarah, thank you so much for the champagne, even though it's a twist off. Very exciting. Don't even need to pop it. That is a sticky little bugger. Let's see.
Do you need me to do it?
Blake has provided me with a towel. I was worried about popping the cork in his house, but thanks to my wonderful sisters, it's actually just a twist off. So we're doing the thing. But this is pretty exciting. When I started out, I said I wanted to do this for at least 4 years. Oh shoot! I'm telling you guys, it's harder with a microphone in front of you than you think. If you're listening, you're gonna want to jump over to YouTube so you can watch me terribly pour this champagne. Meagan, I think that one's yours. Okay, well let's get a little bit more champagne in that glass. Megan's a little bit nervous, aren't you, Meg?
Yes.
What do you think you're nervous about?
Just like putting myself out there, you know?
And what makes you nervous about that?
It's scary.
How come?
I don't know. Judgment, you know? What are people going to say?
Do you think people are gonna judge you?
I don't know.
Well, you're afraid of it.
Yeah, I think it's a real fear, you know? And I think a lot of people have that fear.
Do you think that's why most people are nervous when they come on, is because they're afraid of being judged?
That's probably part of it, yeah.
Isn't it interesting? Because you are who you are and you think what you think and you believe what you believe regardless.
True.
You know what I mean? So what's the difference if it's on the internet?
Well, then it's just you're exposing yourself, right? Like people actually get to see it. Like, you know, the people who get to see me are you, our kids, you know? Like
You choose those people.
Yeah.
Where now you don't get to choose them.
No, I don't get to choose them, you know? So you're going to get...
But they're choosing you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. Should we cheers?
Yeah.
Cheers to 52 episodes, 17 years together, and 37 years of being alive.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Let's taste this twist off champagne.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, really. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so Meg, let's jump into it.
Okay, let's go.
Who is Megan?
That's the worst question you can ask me.
Not really, because you can start wherever you want.
Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm me.
And who's me? What's this journey you've been on?
Oh gosh.
Or maybe better, like what's a message you'd love to share with the audience? Like what do you want the audience to know about the woman behind the man?
Oh,
And also,
gosh.
just for the listener, she's not actually behind me. She's standing next to me. But
Yeah, let's make that real clear.
you were behind me for a while,
I was.
right? We could talk about that, actually.
Yeah.
So we talk about it in the book. You've heard, obviously, Megan and I have been together for 17 years. And so when I met her, she was only 17, right?
Yeah.
And so as any 17-year-old, you don't know what you don't know, and you're just beginning your life as an adult. And I, for whatever reason, always wanted to rush into being an adult. So I was like doing all of these things to be an adult at a much younger age. And so much of what Megan experienced was at my direction or at going the way that I was headed, right? How old were you when we moved to Arizona?
I think I was 19.
19, yeah, I think so, right? So she left this little town of St. George, the only thing that you knew, to go move with me to Arizona, to be on our own completely. Left behind your family and all your friends. And then we started this life together while I was really shepherding us along. And so that's just how it always was. That was just our relationship, you know? Like
Yeah.
we bought our first house and I charged you rent, and that's just the way that it was. And I did that because I wanted you to understand finances, because that was your first time to be earning the amount of money that you were, and the importance of understanding what you do with that money.
Oh, totally. And I didn't have those examples like teaching me,
Yeah.
you know, how to be an adult, really. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'd gone through and I'd spent a bunch of time at that point in my life reading these financial books and then trying to share that stuff with you. And then when we moved back home to St. George to have our first child, Olivia, and then after she was 6 months old, we moved to Houston.
Yeah.
Right. We really, once Olivia was born, I got like that anxiety of like, I got to do more now, because I'm not just providing for you, and you'd been providing for yourself all along that time too, right? You'd been working along with me. And then once Olivia came, it was like, I felt like it was all on my shoulders. We needed to do something more. Left Houston to create our marketing company. And then that was another, like,
Crazy experience.
I mean, you were all by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, a 6-month-old baby, 2 dogs. We packed up, drove the U-Haul to Texas, and you worked a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
in that first 6 months, I only didn't work for like 3 days.
yeah. And you were working like at noon till, I don't know, 11 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
And so I've got this baby and these dogs. We live in an apartment and
In Houston.
In Houston.
Never been to Houston before.
by myself, essentially.
And we didn't even bring all of our stuff. We brought like a mini U-Haul.
Yeah,
We
mini
left
U-Haul.
most
Yeah.
everything back.
So rain or shine, you know, load the baby up, take the dogs out, and, you know, I did it.
And we had a lab in an apartment.
Yeah.
100-pound big lab.
Yeah.
And a little Yorkie. And we had a weird cold winter in Houston.
Yeah.
So you were like bundled up in a jacket
Yeah.
with our daughter, taking them to the dog parks, like go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And really a lot of that by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of it was.
Well, and I also, not only was I working all that, but then we got markets in Cincinnati and Denver and Phoenix. And so not only was I working when I was home, but I would be gone for
yeah.
7 days at a time.
Right. Yeah. It was pretty wild.
And you were
A
just
wild journey.
in Houston all by yourself.
Yeah. I think that's though, like where, not obviously not where my journey starts, right? But like being a mom and being in a city that I don't know anybody. I joined a MOPS group, you know, so I can meet
What did that stand for again?
mothers of preschoolers.
Okay.
And it was like,
Such a great thing for you.
yeah, it was. So like through that, I met friends and I, you know, would go on play dates and that was really wonderful for me.
That was like your first time making like true friends as an adult.
Totally. And not friends that
Well,
I
it wasn't
had
job
from,
related.
or also when I was a child, right? Like
Yeah.
in high school. Like this
Yeah.
was like me as a mom, new friends who don't know me, know nothing about me, you know, not in the same culture that I grew up in. And so
Yeah, right.
yeah, it was really nice. Like it was really eye-opening for me, and you know, I had some really great friends there.
And I felt like our dynamic as a couple was the same in Houston that it's always been.
Yeah, I take care of everything and you work. I'm just kidding.
I mean, for anyone that knows us, that's not totally wrong. I've actually never ordered anything on Amazon myself.
This is true.
I don't want to, because that would just be too dangerous. I couldn't imagine having everything at my fingertips.
I know, and that's why you tell me you're like, you're spending too much money. I'm like, it's just so easy to buy things.
Well, yeah, now you buy something off Instagram and it already knows your card,
I know.
your billing information, your size. It's like, it just buys it for you, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so then so you get pregnant with Cash.
Yeah.
We went to our first doctor's appointment. I'll never forget it. So Liv was like 2.25 maybe. We go to this doctor's appointment at like 9:00. and we're in the lobby till like 11. I don't see the doctor till 11:30. And I was lucky enough to be with you that day, but I was thinking, man, there's no way Meagan can bring our toddler to a doctor's appointment and wait 3 hours. What's the point of an appointment if you have to wait 3 hours to see someone? And then I think you said your birthing room was going to be shared with somebody else, and just like all of it felt wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, it was like at that point, we already knew we were going to move back, but we just kind of pushed it for, faster.
Yeah. Did we have a time? Were we thinking at that time one more baseball season
Yeah,
or
like you
one
were
more
going to
year?
finish out the baseball season and we were going to move back. And so at that point, it was like, okay, I guess I've been spoiled having a baby here in Utah. Like, it was amazing. Like,
Great doctor.
Yeah. So the thought of having a baby there was really terrifying. And so I packed up, took the dogs.
Like a week
took
later or
Olivia.
something.
Yeah. We moved back to Utah. You traveled back for 6 months.
Yeah.
So there were times you were gone. Like, you left when Cash was 4 days old.
Yeah. I was only
you were gone for 21 days.
Well, and I was only there for the 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of wild, I was just lived with my parents.
Sharing a room at your parents'
Yeah.
house, a newborn and a
Yeah. A really fussy
toddler?
baby. Yeah.
Oh, and he was super fussy.
Yeah. Like I couldn't lay him down because he would just cry. So yeah, that was crazy.
It's hard thinking back on it now and realizing how crazy some of it was. Like when you say that, Cash
Yeah.
was 4 years old and I left for 21
4
days.
days. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. You were gone. You're like, see ya.
I can remember one time, shout out Spirit Airlines, because like we had like a 4 day gap in games, and I was like, I wonder if I could go home, and I flew round trip from Houston to Vegas for like $42.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was able to come back.
Yeah. No, I'm very grateful. My mom, she helped me a lot during that time. But, once you were done, I was ready to get out of there.
So
Have our own space.
Meagan and I had bought when we lived in Arizona and we're transitioning back to St. George, the house across the street from her parents was going up for sale. This was, what year would have that been? 2013. We got married in 2011, so that's got to be about right.
2012.
2012. So this house, 983 square feet. Megan's like, hey, they're going to sell this house. It's like $100,000. And I was like, buy it. She's like, don't you want to see it? I was like, no, let's just buy it, because we still had our house in Arizona. So we lived in that, had a rental in Arizona for a while, and then we completely redid the house. But we moved into that with me and Megan, our 2 dogs still, a 100-pound lab, and a little Yorkie, and our 2 kids, and lived in this 983 square foot house for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Until we moved out. And so that's about the time, like when we transitioned back and we were back home, where you started your journey.
Yeah.
Like that part of that journey, right?
Definitely.
And so talk about that and what that was like, and the struggles that put on our marriage.
Okay. So, it becoming a mom, like, I feel like, it can really change you. And becoming a mom for me really became my identity.
Well, also for the listeners, you grew up wanting to be a mom.
Yeah.
That's like that was always the pursuit, right?
100%.
Like when I met you, it was like, this is what I want to be,
Yes.
and that's why when we had Olivia, you didn't work, because your goal always was to be that mom.
Totally. Like, I knew, like, my jobs were just really a means to an end, until I became a mom.
Yeah, you were never looking for a career.
No. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to work these jobs and get to the point to where I can have babies, And so it really became my identity. Like, I was a mom, and I was a super mom. Like, I followed a very strict schedule. Like,
Oh, there was no break in that.
I was very
Meagan,
protective.
no fun.
Yeah, Megan, no fun. I was no fun.
You were no fun.
I was no fun. I didn't know how to have fun because my job never stopped, right?
Yeah.
And so
and you
I
weren't
wasn't.
willing to let anyone else do the job.
I wasn't. Like, it was like, this is what I signed up for. This is going to be my job. Like, even at night, you never woke up one time. Like,
No.
but I never asked you to, because in my mind, it's like, I chose this job. Like, this
Yeah.
is what comes with the job. Like, and I wanted to be the person to do
Well,
that.
I didn't even I didn't even have a night with Olivia, with just the 2 of us, until you gave birth to Cash.
I know. So pretty wild. So anyways, it became my identity, and I didn't know anything outside of that, right? And I was no fun. I was mean, I guess you would say, right? Like, and which is really sad, because looking back, it's like, gosh, I could have gotten so much more out of that had I not.
Out of what?
Well, life, like, like just not being so wanting to be in control.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
I was in control.
That makes sense, yeah.
I decided who held my baby, when they held my baby. Like, I basically wore our babies always. So,
So no one could hold her.
No one could hold them.
It's true.
Which is crazy. But so fast forward, I had a friend who was going to a healer.
How old was Cash at this time?
I think he was like a year and a half, maybe.
It was that long. Okay, so he was that old.
It was a while.
Because do you feel like you were that same way with Cash, or
Well, I feel like with your second, you're always
you care a little less?
No, I don't care less.
But know it's all going to be fine.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
Someone
I've
can
been
hold your
through it.
baby and
Totally.
the baby's not going to die.
100%. Yeah. So I feel like I was less. And then you just have another kid. You know what I mean? So like you're just juggling it more. So anyway, so my friend, she was like, hey, can you watch my kid? I'm going to see this person. And I was like, oh, what's this person? And she was like, oh, she's this healer. And she tells you all these things about like your past lives and helps you. And I was like, oh, like I got to go. Right. Never even knowing what a healer was.
Why do you think that struck a chord with you in the way that it did, where it was like you were so drawn to it?
My soul was like, you got to go. Like, you got to do this work. Like, you got to find yourself, because I really was just lost.
Yeah.
And so when she said that, I jumped on it and I was like, okay, I got to go. And so then I started seeing her, and it was like
that was Janelle, right?
Yeah.
Real quick, for those of you listening, so Nicole is a healer. So if, like a couple episodes back was Nicole's episode.
Yeah.
And Meagan will eventually get to that. But if you're wondering what it is she's talking about, that's that type of person.
Yeah. So, I booked a session with her, and it was amazing. Like she told me things about myself that I had already known, right? But like help heal those things. But she also told me about past
lives. Or maybe
lives
you thought but didn't know.
Yeah. And, there's a lot, like, I didn't realize how much I was holding on to until I started seeing her.
What kind of things were you holding on to?
Just like things as a kid,
Yeah, I know. Like what, though? Because listeners don't know. But I'm going to share it, or?
Oh, gosh. Do you want me to cry?
Yeah.
No,
Because someone out there is going through that same shit. And if you don't talk about what you're talking about, then they don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know that's hard, but like if you want to help someone, this is your chance.
Totally.
You're going to make me emotional. I can feel it.
Gosh. I grew up in like a pretty toxic household, right? My mom had married my dad, had me, had my sister, got divorced.
And also, for context, you and your sister are how many months apart?
11 months.
Yeah.
So
Irish twins.
Yeah. So, our childhood, like, and sorry, Mom, like, I know you did the best you could. And it's nothing against her. But so she had married my dad.
Imagine being a single mom with two babies under 12 and having to pay for you guys to live.
Well, yeah. And my dad, he just,
He dipped.
He did. Well, he didn't want to work.
Yeah.
Right. And my mom's like, I can't take care of you and these kids. Like, you got to go. So, that started our journey as children. And my mom had married somebody else when I was, I think, in kindergarten. And we'd moved to Cedar. Like, we lived in a trailer park, and that husband beat her. And like, I witnessed it. So I'm 5, right?
Yeah, and other traumas, right? Just like being in that environment.
Who even knows? Like, I'm sure there's some repressed things that, just haven't gone there. But so that's, being a 5-year-old and like watching your mom, like.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
Terrible. So, she finally got out of that, which I'm really grateful for. And she moved us here. And she worked as a cocktail waitress, where she could make good money and work at night when we were sleeping. And that's where she met my stepdad, Jeff. And that was when I was in first grade. So in first grade, she's got us 2. He's got 3 kids. We move into their house. 3-bedroom house.
Which is across the street from the
people.
house that we just talked about.
7 people, right? 5 kids, 6 and under. And
that house at that point didn't have the addition. So you're probably talking.
No, it's 3 bedrooms.
1,100 square feet, maybe.
Yeah. So it was like, she was like, he's the one. So we move in, and parents those days, they they believed in parenting differently, and, threatening and abuse was kind of a thing to keep your kids in line.
The belt.
The belt. Like, the belt. Like, it was.
You got hit with the belt. Or you just threatened
I don't know
with
if
the belt?
I ever got hit because I was really good at hiding, but we would have a cubby in our bunk bed. Like, there was a good hiding place, but threatened a lot. And my stepbrothers, they just beat each other up like every day, like to the point where like, I mean, it was bad, right? So it was like, I don't ever recall
When you
there
wouldn't
being
call
a
it
lot
a
of
loving
love.
household.
Yeah, like, and my mom, like for me, love for me, like is like a hug or like words of affirmation, like, you know what I mean? Like showing somebody you love them more than just telling them. And, so that's the house I grew up in.
Well, and to give your mom grace, like what she went through, she kind of had to have a tough exterior.
Well, yeah, and I know her mom, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
there's those traumas,
No,
And
totally.
even like being a cocktail waitress in Mesquite, you got to kind of have your guard up. People are creeps. And so Trish is the most amazing lady ever,
she is.
right?
Yeah, no, she's amazing. And I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't be where I am today without it. But, I kind of felt like this, like I never fit in. I never fit in with my family. And it got really clear as I got older, right?
Yeah.
And like, just like.
I can remember, I got to tell a story because you and your sister shared a room.
Yeah.
And like one of my first memories of dating you is that like she would take your shit. And so we went to Home Depot and built like a cupboard. And then I like latched a lock onto it. And you had a full ass like padlock.
Yeah.
For like your jeans and your perfume.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It was a constant struggle. Like two sisters stealing my stuff, breaking through the window to get in to take my stuff. So, and I was the oldest. And me and my stepbrother, very contentious. And I don't even really know why, but like it just like.
Well, you were both the oldest of these separate families. So not that you guys intentionally were trying to like be the alpha, but there's just that natural sense of like he's the protector of his family and you're the protector of yours, right?
Yeah.
Without it ever being spoken or clearly illustrated. That's just life.
Yeah. And so we fought a lot, not physically, but
Because
like,
you guys were about the same age too, right?
yeah, like I'm 1 year older.
So
but
between
same
you,
grade.
him, and Melissa, all within 12 months of each other.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, as I got older, I got into dance, which was really great. Like that was a really great escape. I got into dance when I was 7, which like really was a saving grace. And because I got to be out of my house.
Yeah.
Like that's where I felt happy.
Wow, you never said that.
I know, I've never said that. That's really interesting. But like honestly,
Wow.
like where else could I go?
That's kind of an epiphany right there.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty wild.
No wonder you love to dance so much.
I love, like
Right?
it
Because now
was-
if you think about it, you've never said so.
yeah,
17 years together, first time you've ever said it.
that's crazy.
This is therapy 101. That's how it works.
I know.
But now it makes so much sense why dancing brings you so much joy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're tapping into what you like, to your safe, happy place.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I danced and I danced a lot. Like I was dancing. I think I was taking classes almost every day. And then when I got on the drill team, I mean, I was never home, which I preferred, honestly.
Yeah.
Like because being home was not good.
When you had nowhere to go for yourself either, right? Like there
Nowhere.
was literally
No
not a
space.
single besides the bathroom. Where could you go that it was just you?
And then I had these, these friends that I did, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like what you want your environment to feel like, just.
Do you mean your friends had the environment that you wanted or?
No, like at dance, like you're
I gotcha.
happy and you're doing something fun and you're working really hard. Like it's really rewarding. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's how I grew up. I mean, I even question if my mom loved me, which is so sad to say, but like, I was like, do you even love me? Like that's
You actually
how our
asked her, didn't
environment.
you?
I did.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, of course I love you. And I'm like, okay, I need you to tell me. Like, I can't just know that. I can't read your mind because.
I think it's good for parents listening to this because like obviously as the parent, you love your kid, right? And so like you would just assume like of course they know that.
Right.
But they might not.
Well, they don't.
And if you don't
I
tell
didn't.
them and don't show them, like
Yeah.
they really might not know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely really like affected the way that I am a parent, and like when I went into it, it was like I My kids will
You're
never
you're
not feel loved.
You're like Chris Farley in that movie when he's like, you love it and you pet it. And
Yeah.
you just love your kids to death.
Yeah, like I never want them to feel unloved or question whether I love them, you know? Like
Yeah,
it
in
doesn't mean
fact-
our house is a perfect household and I never get mad or I'm never like that happens. But I know in their depths of their soul, like
Yeah.
they know.
Well, we had the coolest thing happen as a parent. Like 2 weeks ago, we were picking Liv up from her friend's house, Emery, and her dad comes out and says, I just got to tell you, like, your daughter's awesome. So he, what's his name?
Travis.
Travis is such an amazing dude, and obviously he's incredible too because he's asking our daughter these questions that so many parents would never even take the time to have a real conversation with a 10-year-old. But what did he ask her? Like, what makes you special, or what do you love about your life, or something like that? And her answer was like, I'm loved, I'm happy, I have the greatest life ever, or something like that. Just everything you could ever want your kids to think and feel, you know? And that was without us there. It's like that was just her genuine response. And it's like that's as good as it gets.
Yeah. No, it is. But to jump back, like, so that's how I grew up, right? So when I started
But that's the
seeing
trauma
a
you
healer,
were trying to heal, right?
Yeah,
'Cause-
like-
and your you being mean or not overly pleasant is ultimately tied back to this trauma, right?
100%.
And so you were trying to create a way for you to eliminate those cords that were subconsciously causing you to act in a way that you wouldn't want to naturally.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So, but I didn't know that prior.
Of course, how
I didn't
could you?
know what made me like that. I just thought I'm the oldest and my parents act like children and I feel like I'm the parent and I feel like I have to be the super responsible person,
You
right?
always chose that responsibility, even
I
though you
always
didn't
did.
have to, but you chose it. Like the first time on
But that's just me.
No, right. For your graduation party when we all went down to Cabo and with your parents, with your mom and dad and a bunch of friends, like 12 of us or something like that. And when they got drunk, you felt like you needed to take care of them.
Well, I felt
Even
like
though-
if I didn't, though, who
I know,
would?
but they've been drunk in Cabo more times than we can count. And
I know.
yet here they are, you know?
Yeah.
And so they didn't need you, but you felt obligated, and you've always put yourself in that position of like, I gotta control this environment.
It's my nickname, Mama Meagan, with
Yeah.
my friends. We know Megan's going to take care of it. But I really love that. Like,
Do you think you love it, or do you just think that you're conditioned to it?
no, I do. I love helping people.
Yeah.
May not feel like helping to them, but I am sincerely trying to help them,
Yeah.
right? I'm trying to help them be safe and, you
Yeah.
know. So, so the healing, like it just, I don't know, it just opened this whole new world, it felt like, right? Like, I don't even know what I believed prior to that. And that's crazy to think. But so I started seeing her and like started
Believed what? What do you mean when you say that?
like what did I think of God or the universe or like meditation or self-care or self-work? Like I didn't know any of that. Like what was I even doing?
I don't think you ever took the time to even have a deep thought in that capacity.
Yeah,
You
it's
were just living
weird.
your life, you know, like
I was just in the rat race,
100%.
being a mom, like just
whatever race was in front of you.
yeah. So yeah, fast forward, I'm seeing her often, like maybe once a month, right? And it's like I don't know how we're going to pay for it, but I'm like, I need to go see her. Like, I need this. And like, I already felt like the first session, I felt so much lighter. And I was like, wow, what is this feeling?
Yeah.
Like, this is wild. And she had told me, she was like, okay, you know, I really think you should see Nicole. Like, she does this meditation group. You know, I really think you should. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of brushed it off. And then it was probably in December, I went and saw her and she'd said it again. And I was like, That time I was like, okay, tell me more about it. Like, I don't even know what meditation is. Crazy. And so she told me, she was like, I really think you should meet her. You should go. And so here I am. You've never watched the kids. I've never done anything for myself, essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in
And
any
so-
real way.
Here I am. I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to go to this meditation group. I'm terrified, right? Terrified. Also scared to ask you to watch our kids, which is crazy.
Whoa, that's terrible. Blake, edit that part out.
No, not scared of you, but like, I've just been doing it.
Timestamp that. That's 4:15.
I've been doing it.
No,
this
I know what you mean.
Whole time.
You don't want to relinquish control.
Well, yeah, and I felt bad asking you,
Yeah.
like to do my job. Like, how dare I? Like, It's my job.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be asking you.
Also, for the listeners, that wasn't because of me. That's because of Meagan shit.
Yeah, that's my
That was
stuff.
what we call a you problem.
Yeah, totally a me problem. So anyways, I ask you, right? I show up to this meditation group, right? I know nobody. I'm like shaking.
It's my worst nightmare, honestly.
Like it was terrifying, right? And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I have no idea. Like I only have this like little intro, like what I've been doing with Janelle, right? Which has been amazing. But like now I'm in this group, right? And with these people, I don't know. It actually is going to make me cry. But walking into that room and like everybody hugging everybody and like they don't know me.
Ooh, also
you know?
my worst nightmare.
But I had never felt so much love.
Yeah.
It was wild. I was like, what is this? Like, I don't know this, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when would you in the course of your regular life be in a room with so many loving people, right?
Yeah, like, and
your
nobody's
family's old
judging you.
school, my
Yeah.
family's old school. Like, I didn't even tell my parents I loved them growing up as a kid.
Oh, when I used to hug my mom, she'd be like, and I'd be like, no, I'm just going to hold you.
Remember to stay close to that microphone.
Oh, okay.
Let them hear your beautiful voice.
Okay. But I would have to like force a hug on her.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to enjoy it. I know you don't like this right now, but you're going to get there. But anyway, so I walk in, right? And it really was this.
Hold on one second. Why do you think it makes you so emotional?
Because like what a beautiful feeling to like feel so much love from people, from strangers,
Yeah.
essentially, right? Like I didn't know anybody in that room.
That actually shed some light. Now hearing you tell the story, that gives me a new perspective too. I'll let you keep going, but I'll make a note of it.
Okay. I know where you're going with that. So anyways, I meet this woman and it was like, I was kind of drawn to her. Like,
Woman is Nicole.
no,
Oh.
a friend. I can't even remember her name, but she was a friend for that time. But anyway, she was like, hey, do you want to come sit by me? And I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know anybody. I don't know what this is. Right. And so we get into it, do the meditation. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then after you can talk to Nicole, which is terrifying because I'm like, here's this person who died, who has this beautiful gift of helping people, like is very intimidating for me. And so I remember walking up, and she works with her mom too, which is, she's just amazing. Like I consider them family. But when I walked up to Nicole, she like touched my heart. And she was
like physically touched your heart?
Yeah, she physically touched my heart. And I'm like, I'm just bawling, right? I'm a mess. I can't even talk. I don't even know what's happening. But I'm like, anyway. And she goes, you're just searching for the answers everywhere. Like you're looking. You're like, are the answers here? Are they here? Like she was like, all the answers are right here.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, that's really powerful, you know? And so I was hooked. I was like, this meditation group happened twice a month. And I was like, I'm going, you know, I'm committing to this. Like I already love these people. I don't even know these people, but like, I love how I feel here. And I started learning like a bunch of new information. And so that's when our issue kind of occurred, right? Because Cody, when I was younger, right? Like you were reading all those books, right? Like self-help, like you were really into like growing. And I wasn't.
And still am.
No, still are. But I wasn't.
No, and I was so excited to be like, oh my gosh, like I just read Outliers. You got to read this. It's going to change the way we raise our kids. And you're like, no.
I'll stick with my novels. Like
Yeah.
I'm good. You know why? Because with
ready.
a novel, yeah. And
Oh, and you could escape with a novel.
I was.
It's work to read those other books. Like you're putting in the work.
you'd have to do the work
Yeah.
and you'd have
to reflect and say,
Yeah.
where could I be better? And yeah, I didn't
but
want
like
that.
the novels just were my escape out of life, you know, and it was nice to just, you know, live in another world while you were in the book.
Well, I can share some of my perspective as you came home and you were just like filled with jubilation, right? Like as happy as you could be. And interesting now, because I don't know that I ever like understood this portion of it until you are retelling the story to me now. But like you came home and your love bucket was filled by someone that wasn't me.
Mm,
And I'd really been the only person to ever truly fill your love bucket, right?
it's true.
Like in a meaningful way. And so I had powers, not the word I want to use, but the word that comes to mind, right? Because like when you only had one person fill that love bucket, like you're going to be drawn to them. And now you've got this group of people filling it. And so you don't need mine in the same capacity you did prior. and you're sharing all this information, and you even talked about a book. I don't remember the book now, but you're like, they talked about this book. And do you remember what the book was?
No, and you were like, I told you to read that 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm like offended because like
very offended.
Well,
also, I don't think you've ever seen me happy like that.
sure, yeah, no.
Like,
right.
I'm
no,
like,
of course, because you weren't.
No.
Yeah. So revisionist history, I wouldn't say like let's marginalize the offense here, but it was that like you came home a different person.
I was,
right.
yeah.
So like you were in every way different, and so you were getting your love filled at other places. You thought that they had this incredible wisdom, which they do. This is not to discredit any of the things they were doing because they were all great, but it certainly left me feeling like why couldn't you see that in me? Because I give you that love. I was willing to share this wisdom with you. Like I told you these things 10 years ago and you just didn't care. But now these strangers tell you and you care. And I know now it's because you weren't ready.
Totally.
Then. But at the time, I just felt like, what the fuck? Like I felt so hurt really because I'd been your guide and your shepherd and your source of wisdom. And now the second you meet someone new, I felt like you just kicked me to the curb, you know?
Yeah.
And as you got more and more into it, I don't even remember why we were fighting so much.
Well, you were just so mad. Like, and you didn't want me to go. And also, like, I was clearing a lot of traumas, right? Like, I really was. Like, I
didn't want you to go?
No. You didn't want me to go.
I don't remember that.
Because you didn't like it. You didn't like how I came home and told you all this new information. And so we were constantly fighting. Like, every day was an argument. And then also, like, at that point, like, our life was like, you know, on the weekends we would drink and we would watch shows. And I was like, you know what? I'm really not going to drink anymore. Like, I'm just not.
We would watch so much TV.
Oh, but I was leveling up, I guess.
And
right?
then you were like reading and you're reading like all those books and getting into yoga.
Yes. And so I didn't want to keep doing what we were doing. And you were like, I just wish you could go back and just be who you are. And I was like, I can't. Like,
oh, what a terrible thing to say.
I can't, like, whether that means we go on this journey together or apart, like, I can't stop.
Well, I can remember you were going to Park City with Julie and them.
Yeah, and that also, like, I'd met these friends at the gym, and I'd never been on a girls' trip, right? And they invited me, and I was like, oh, that sounds amazing, you know? And so, yes, I started going on these girls' trips to Park City with them, and which was really nice, you know? But I also went, like, you know, during the time we were like fighting, and like I felt like I needed a break.
Well, I
from my
remember
life.
the phone call. I remember being on the phone with you and like fighting.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you actually vocalize, like, look, I don't actually care. Either you're going to support me and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, or you won't, and we won't be together. And up to that point, like, you would have never, under any circumstance, not been with me.
Yeah.
You know? And as much as it's an unspoken like thing, there's a power dynamic in relationships. And you fucking grabbed that power away from me. You know what I mean? And I felt so helpless. I'm like, fuck, you know? Like, you would have at that point, had I not decided to get on the train, you were going to leave.
I was going to leave.
That was never the case.
Yeah.
You know? And it was so hard for me. And it's almost, embarrassing is too strong of a word, but it's the best word I can think of to retell the story, because you were always walking behind me. Like I was leading you, and that's just what it was. And as you started to walk alongside me, I was uncomfortable with that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because who I was at that point, like, that was not who you married or who you dated. Like, who I am today is such a different person than who I was when you met me.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. I remember meeting that bachelorette party in Vegas, and they were like, I can't remember, we got on the conversation. I said, we've been together for 17 years. I said, what advice do you have? I said, the best advice I can give you is that the person you marry today won't be the same person 10 years from now, and neither will you. And as long as you go into it understanding that and grow together, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to hold your partner to the standard of the person you married, it's just never going to work.
No.
You know? No. As it shouldn't, because as we get new information and new experiences, it should change who we are. And so as you started to walk beside me, it was so hard for me to accept that power dynamic and that shift. And of course, consciously now, like, I'd much rather have a partner than, this not the right word, but like an employee or someone who's just doing what you want them to do, you know? Right. Because obviously we're going to grow so much further together.
Well, and at that point, like, I started speaking up. And I think like just growing up in the house I did, right? Like I quieted myself. Like I
Yeah.
was scared to speak
Yeah.
up.
You had a
Like,
hard time if we did get into an argument.
you would fluster me and I couldn't
You'd
even
give up.
Yeah. But then I started getting really
Megan thinks she's better
smart.
arguing than she is. That's,
I am actually.
I still win arguments.
No, babe, you don't.
I
You
won't-
give up now. It's cute.
That's not true.
But you know what I mean? So I started speaking up, which was so different. And I started having a difference of opinion than you, which before I just, whatever you would say, I would just kind of go along with it. You know? I was
Yeah,
like,
you'd find the truth in it.
yeah, I'd just be like, really, it's not worth saying what I want to say, you know? And
I don't even know if that's true. I don't even know that it wasn't worth saying what you want to say as much as you
no,
didn't.
there were times where it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the fight or the argument to just voice my opinion. But I grew some balls. Not really. But I started speaking up and I started having a different opinion, you know? And that was weird for you. And you were like, well, I don't like this,
Yeah, sucked.
you know? But in the end, we made it through. And I mean, we're stronger than ever, and you know, our growth still continues, but we grow together, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we have the same, you know, similar goals, right? And so it's pretty awesome, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change it, right? Because I think that's what gave us the ability to have the relationship we do now today, to go through something like that. And also, like, to choose your growth versus my ego.
Yeah. And that's what it
Ultimately,
really,
that's,
yeah.
100% what it was, you know?
Yeah, totally. So it was a pretty wild journey, you know? But yeah, who I am now is just like people who knew me prior, they're just like, it's weird.
Yeah, we
for
used to
them.
joke with the family you were Meagan 2.0.
Well, yeah, like even
You found the ability to have fun. You know, what a sad thing. Like,
It's
having
so
fun
sad.
for you was so difficult.
so difficult. Like,
What's amazing is I loved you even when you weren't fun.
I know. It's pretty good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that's unconditional love, right? Like
Yeah.
loving somebody when they're not at their best, because we're all not going to be at our best. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then all stages of life, right?
I think what's important to talk about too is, like, obviously we're here today. We've been together for 17 years. We have a great relationship. But relationships aren't different than life, where there's
Totally.
peaks and valleys.
Yes.
And we've had them all. Like,
100%. Every month.
looking
My cycle.
But even like looking back to Phoenix, like when we were young, I wouldn't even say we had a good relationship.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, looking back on it, it's like such a wasted opportunity, but it was like, it wasn't good,
I know.
you know?
But sometimes you have to go through the bad to get to the
No,
good.
I know you do, but what I'm saying for people listening is, if you're not in that good place, I don't want you to listen with like, ugh, I wish,
Yeah.
because it just means you're not in that season right now, right? And if
Yeah.
you put in the work, then you'll get through it.
100%.
Because it was not always like this.
No. I mean, we worked really hard to get here, right? Like, and we've been through all the stuff, you know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'd bought your engagement ring way before we got engaged. And I wasn't even like, before you, I didn't even want to have kids or get married, really, you know?
yeah.
And I knew you did. So I got the ring really for you because I knew it was important to you. I didn't really care. And I held on to it for so long. And now looking back, like, I didn't ever consciously have this thought, but looking back, it's like, what would I have been in a rush for?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you weren't fun and we didn't have, you know, you weren't.
No, I wasn't.
And we didn't have a good sex life. Like, it was all shit, really.
Yeah. No. It's pretty wild to think.
I mean, it was so bad.
So bad. But here we are,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes, you know, like, you got to go through that, you know?
Well, and you can't appreciate the good times without the bad times.
You can't. And also, relationships are work, right? Every relationship in your life is work,
Yeah.
daily work,
Yeah.
you know? And just because you have a bad day or a bad month or a bad year doesn't mean you should give up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I knew, like, I wasn't going to get a divorce. I might have got to that point, you know,
I don't
there.
know. You were
But,
pretty clear.
like, it was like you were my person and I
Yeah.
was, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade those bad years for what we have now, you know?
No.
Like,
Well,
I'm grateful.
I don't think you can earn the right to have what we have now
Yeah.
without that.
Well, and I appreciate it so much more, you
Yeah.
know, knowing what we did have, you know, and
Yeah.
what we do have.
Life's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. You know, it's been quite a journey. I mean, more than half my life I've been with you.
Yeah.
That's a long
And
time.
you're so lucky.
Yeah. So lucky.
Humor is an important.
It is.
Such an important part of a relationship. God, we sure laugh a lot.
We laugh a lot, but also I just don't take life that seriously, right?
Yeah.
And
And you
being
did
that
before.
I did,
Oh,
I
boy.
took it so seriously. I took
Everything
what people
was so
said so
serious.
seriously, what people did, like, you know what I mean? And now it's just like, I just know everything's going to be okay. Like, it's all going to work out. We're going to go through some hard times. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be just fine.
Jen Sincero, you're not listening to this, but if you were,
Yes.
her whole motto of,
Money flows easily and freely.
oh man, Meagan said it no less than 1,000 times since we
But
heard
it
her
works.
speak at the Summit of Greatness, you know?
Right? Putting positive energy out there, putting like having faith and hope, like that works.
Yeah.
I know it works.
Well, and being present too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because what's really wrong presently,
Nothing.
you know?
Yeah.
It's all,
It's all good. We got some
behind
champagne.
you. Well, I mean, you haven't drank any.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Not good enough for you?
No, it's good enough.
Well, I'm going to have to probably drink it then.
Okay.
Okay, so then that gives us a great backstory as to who and what made who you are today. But sitting here now, April 29th, 2024, who's Meagan today then? Like, what's your purpose?
What's my purpose?
What's your why?
Right now, I think, like, I remember Nicole telling me, like, because I was like, oh, I just want to help all these people in this world. Like, I want to show them, like, what love is. Like, how, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
so many people just think of love as something different, you know, and like unconditional love. And she said, you need to focus in on your home. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
You create it there, it will ripple out, you know? And I was like, oh, that's really huge. So I think right now my purpose is, you know, being the best mom, the best wife, like the best version of me, like while taking care of myself, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And, you know, just having that.
I think on that note too, like if Megan and I have learned anything in doing all these different things together is how important it is to do it together, right? Because anything that's crazy we've ever tried independently, we've both failed every time.
Yeah.
The only things we've ever succeeded in were the things we did together, you know, whether it be a cleanse or wild fit or insanity, like we only ever succeeded when we were both actively pursuing it together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think having that support is really important. But yeah, I think just creating that space in our home, you know, and like hearing, you know, Travis say that about Liv, it's like, you know, you hope you're doing enough, you know, you hope you're doing your best. So you try to do your best.
Well, then you know they're taking that belief and perception of their life to the friends and into their houses.
Ripples out.
Right?
You know what I mean? So I mean, right now, that's what my life is right now. You know,
I love that. What's the biggest win you've ever had in your life?
Ooh, biggest win. Well, I think finding myself. I mean, I'm still finding myself, but I think going down that journey and like, you know, really diving deep into healing.
Yeah, that's a great answer. What about your biggest loss?
The thing is, every loss I've had has turned into something great. And so I don't ever focus on that. You know, I'm grateful for what I've been through, and I don't really count any of it as a loss.
Well, it's like Sean Cannell said, you lose or you learn. Or no, you
true.
win or you learn. Sorry, you win or you learn.
Yeah. Like there's nothing that I'm like, oh, dang, that sucked.
Yeah.
Like
that's a great, it's a great perspective.
It might have sucked in the moment. And I know I've had times recently like where it did, but being on the other side, I'm like, oh, best thing ever.
Yeah. Just trust in the process. You never know what's ahead of you, right? What bad thing you're going through, what good could come of it.
Well, usually always good comes of it. You know?
With enough time, always.
Yeah. So
what's been cool too is Megan and I have been able to do these amazing things together. Like we went to the Summit of Greatness last year and like to grow, to invest in growth together.
Yeah.
Which we'd never done.
Right.
And that capacity was just so cool. Like that was, of all the amazing trips we went on, like that was honestly one of my favorites.
Oh, it was amazing.
You know?
Yeah.
Lewis House, Summit of Greatness, check it out. He's amazing. And then we just barely last week went to Growth Video with Sean Cannell. Shout out Sean Cannell. You got to give him a shout out.
Shout out to Sean Cannell.
Yeah, he'll love that.
It was amazing. Growth Video was great.
It was so good. And I just love that we can do those things together now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know,
it really is.
To be on the journey with, you know, truly your best friend. It's like, what more could you ask for?
I couldn't. I've got everything I could ask for.
That's pretty special to say.
It's pretty awesome.
So you were pretty nervous coming into this. How do you feel now?
I feel good.
It just
Yeah.
it washes away, right?
Well, and like I said, like whatever the conversation was going to be about, supposed to be about, I just have trust in the process.
Is there anything that you haven't talked about yet that you feel like there's someone who's listening who they might want to hear a particular perspective or thought or opinion that you have?
Lead with love, you know? Why are you laughing?
It's all about love with you.
It is.
But there's nothing wrong with that. That's
No,
great.
it is. I'm here to love.
And what do you think is the best way for people to tap into that?
That's a good question. I mean, start by loving yourself.
Oh,
you know?
that's where it starts, isn't it?
Like it really is until you, I mean, of course you can love other people.
Man, that's
but-
interesting. Do you think you didn't love yourself until you went through that process with
Oh, totally.
Wow. That's what
How
it
could
was.
I didn't feel like anybody else loved me. So how could I love myself? That's really interesting.
Wow, it's yeah. Well, and even with us, right? Like you think back to like Arizona.
I knew you loved me.
I know, but still what I'm saying is like if you went back to our relationship and the lack of our sex life and those things, it was probably because you couldn't let me love you all the way because you didn't love yourself.
Oh, 100%. I
wow.
had built walls to protect
Yeah,
myself.
what an epiphany, huh?
Yeah. But truly, you know, I mean,
And how do you love yourself? You know, that's a tough. I bet there's many people listening to this who don't. Like,
Oh,
what,
I'm
like
sure.
what's a great first step, do you think?
saying I love you to yourself in the mirror.
Jason Wolber is all about affirmations.
Like,
you know, it's
truly,
amazing.
The thing is, you fake it till you make it, right? And I had to tell myself that often. It's
Yeah.
like, even if I don't believe what I'm telling myself right now, one day I will. I will believe
Yeah.
it if I say it enough. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have insecurities with my body. It's like, no, I love my body. I love my body. And eventually I won't even have that thought of not loving my body,
Yeah.
you know? So
Right.
it's like, you fake it till you make it. Like, you may not believe it now, but you will believe it.
God, that's so true. What's your favorite book of all time?
Ooh, A New Earth.
I figured you'd say that.
Changed
What
my life.
You think that was the most transformative book you've read?
When I was first starting, yeah, I mean, well, my first like self-help book was like an autobiography of a yogi, which was crazy. It was like 500 pages.
To give yourself credit, you did read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, like when you were 18.
Did I?
Yeah, I had you read that and you actually did.
Huh.
That was T. Harv Eker. That was when like you put the cash in the envelope.
Okay.
You said the things in the mirror, universe. Like you did
Okay.
do that one.
I don't recall.
Yeah, but your first one of like your own volition.
Autobiography of a yogi, which I loved.
Yeah, I kind of hate that book because I felt like you were reading that as the time we were like pulling
I
apart.
was, but it was amazing and really transformative. But A New Earth, I read that, and it's like every time I'd read it, I'd get goosebumps, and I'm like, oh man, this stuff's powerful.
So then, gotta have a shameless plug, of course. But what's your favorite part of Winning the Moment?
Winning the Moment.
Have you read it?
Yes, I've read it. I read it twice.
But it took you a while,
Cody,
Megan.
it takes me a while to read a book unless it's
But I mean, to even start, remember?
not the right time, babe. Not the right time. I read it in the perfect timing when I was supposed to. So, you know, sometimes you pick up a book and you're just not ready for it. You're
Sure.
just, and there's books that sit on my nightstand that have been there for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Got to move those ones out.
well, no, I'll read it when I'm ready.
Yeah.
But my favorite, gosh, it's been a while since I read it.
Or even just the overall premise. It doesn't have to be an exact part of the book, but just the philosophy in general.
Well, I think the philosophy, just like one thing at a time, one moment at a time.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. You know, it's not like you don't have to, you know, take this monumental step or like this, have this crazy goal for the day. You know, it's just like one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And then that one thing adds up, you know?
Yeah. If you're just winning in the present, then you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, it can be so
100%.
daunting with life, with like all the things that we have.
So daunting.
You know, even like thinking about our kids and all the things that they've got to do. And,
Yeah.
and as they get older, like thinking Liv's going to 5th grade, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and
Yeah.
like, how do you set them up? And like, you just can't worry about any of that because
Yeah.
she's not about to be an adult. She's who she is. She's 10,
Totally.
you know, let her live in that life.
Yeah. No, I think just, being present, living in the moment and just, you know, not worrying that you have to make 10 decisions right now that are good. It's just like throughout the day, anybody can do that.
Yeah. I love that. So how do you define success?
Success for me is having a home that I love coming home to, like a home full of love and laughter. And like, that's success to me.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's really the most important thing,
Oh,
right?
I love being home. I love being with her family. Like that's where I'm at peace most of the time. Sometimes the kids are a little unpeaceful, but you know what I mean? Like we laugh a lot, we smile, you know what I mean?
It's so important.
happy.
You go to work all day or wherever your work is, and maybe it's at home, but you're in that mindset and you just got all of life's stuff going on. But then you do have this place that should be, you know, the exact opposite of what your
sacred
childhood
place.
was,
100%.
you know? And that's probably why you love it so much.
Totally.
Because you've created the exact opposite of what you had.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty beautiful.
Like even today, I'm so excited to get through the day because I knew like you made your homemade lasagna and that Kyle's coming over and my dad and sister will be there and we got the Nuggets game and the kids and it's like just having that thing to look forward to.
Definitely.
And really when you look forward to the weekend, that's what you're looking forward to.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to that time in that special place, you know? So anything else you want to leave the listeners with? Any nuggets of wisdom that you left out?
Not that I can think of.
Well, thank you for being here. And I mean, this is amazing. Episode 52. We'll talk about that actually for a second before we wrap up, because there is something to supporting your partner, right?
Yeah.
And this has been a lot of work and it's also an investment and it's expensive. And there's so many things that have to happen for me to be able to do this, right? Because I used to not work Fridays.
Right.
So for the last year, I've been doing this on Fridays versus really being home with you because the kids are in school. And it's like that was like time we could have had to do so many things.
Right.
And we sacrificed that in the pursuit of this. And so like any perspective you can share from a spouse, man or woman, right? But just how to show up for your partners and support them. Because if there's anything that you do for me, I know you believe in me and you give me confidence in myself that I maybe otherwise wouldn't have. And I think that's such a special trait.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, looking at the bigger picture, right? Because it's like, it can be so small-minded to be like, oh, well, I want this time with you, you know? And it's like, no, what you're doing now will build us more time in the future. Not that, you know, we're still living in the present, but I think
okay to say that, right? Like if this works and if it can 4 years from now be something significant, then that creates more freedom for us in the future.
Well, also it's like, it's what you love doing, right?
Yeah.
So like, how can I not love what you love? Like, and I love seeing you in your, you know,
How is it
space.
being here?
It's really cool to like see, like, you know, I listen to the episodes.
Got to start watching them.
I know.
Get that YouTube watch time up. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I do.
Hey, if you're listening, please watch on YouTube. And even if you don't care, just put it on mute and play the whole thing.
Or on one, actually.
Yeah. I just need that watch time.
Yeah. But yeah, I think honestly for me, it's like it's just so much. I see the big picture, you know, and it's like, yeah, would I love to spend every Friday with you? Duh.
Yeah.
But like, I know like that's just not our life right now. And that's okay, you know, and just supporting you. Like you support me, you know, it's what I do.
I love you. Thank you for coming and doing this with me. I've been trying to get her on forever to the listeners. She was supposed to be like episode 20 and episode 32, and she just kept kicking the can down the road.
Here we are.
And then so we thought, well, if you're going to wait, you might as well make it special. Make it episode 52. Happens to be on my birthday. Happens to be the day the Nuggets knocked the Lakers out of the NBA playoffs, right? Little
Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, Michael Hottie Jr. And so I sincerely just love you so much and thank you for the support and supported me at Growth Video and allowed me to make that investment myself. And I've never had a better partner or a better cheerleader or a better anything. So I love you.
Aw, thanks. I love you too.
Okay, well, if you have loved this episode and you love my wife as I do and you'd like to follow her, you can find her on Instagram at Meagan, MEAGAN, because you can spell Meagan 100 ways, _Adent, ADENT. Anything you want to leave the listeners with? Nothing. You got nothing for them.
Nothing.
Nowhere to go.
Have
Nothing
a
to read.
day. Beautiful day.
Be loved.
Yeah, be loved. Love.
Okay, well, thank you. I love you.
Love you too.